The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Admiral Vextar's message reached the Galactic Council within hours of his retreat. Within days, every civilized species knew the truth. Humans were real. They had defeated a Krillian fleet. The impossible had happened. In the council chamber, emergency meetings were held every day. The atmosphere was tense, divided, and sometimes hostile. Ambassador Thrin stood at the speaker's platform. His silver scales gleamed under the lights. "We must make diplomatic contact immediately," he argued. The humans defended their territory against an attack they did not provoke. They have proven themselves capable of space travel and advanced warfare. Under galactic law, they deserve recognition as an independent species. Galactic law? A Krillian representative snarled. "They killed over 200 of our ships. They must pay for this humiliation." "You attacked them first," Thrin said calmly. "What did you expect? That they would simply surrender their homeworld?" Historian Qualmix shuffled forward. His old voice carried surprising strength. "I have spent the last week researching our oldest records. The references to humans are more extensive than we realized. They did not destroy themselves in nuclear fire. They chose isolation. They hid from the galaxy on purpose. Why?" the High Chancellor asked. His energy form pulsed with curiosity. "The records do not say, but I believe we are about to find out. Look." Qualmix turned on a holographic display showing a ship coming toward Council space. "That is a human ship. They have sent a diplomatic mission." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates wanted the ship turned away. Others insisted on meeting with the humans. The debate went on for hours until the High Chancellor finally made everyone quiet. "We will receive the human delegation," he announced. "We will hear what they have to say, and then we will decide how to proceed." 3 days later, the human ship docked at the Council's neutral station. Dr. Sunwoo led the diplomatic team. Commander Daeho and Ambassador Youngsuk went with her. Youngsuk was an elderly woman with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. As they walked through the station's corridors, they were surrounded by alien species of all shapes and sizes. Dr. Sunwoo could barely contain her excitement. "This is amazing," she whispered. "So many different life forms. I could spend a lifetime studying them." "Stay focused, Doctor," Youngsuk said gently. "We are not here as tourists. We are here to secure Earth's future." Commander Daeho walked slightly behind them. His military uniform drew curious and fearful stares from the aliens they passed. His hand never moved far from the weapon at his belt. Though he hoped he would not need it, the council chamber was even more impressive than the station. The 3 humans stood at the center platform, looking up at the assembled delegates of 40 species. The weight of thousands of eyes pressed down on them. The High Chancellor spoke first. "Humans of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council. We have given you this audience to explain yourselves. Why did you hide from the galaxy? And why did you attack a Krillian fleet?" Ambassador Youngsuk stepped forward. Her voice was clear and strong despite her age. "Honored Council, we did not hide from you. You simply never found us. As for the attack, let me correct your understanding. We did not attack the Krillian fleet. They entered our territory without permission and demanded we surrender our world. We defended ourselves. That is not aggression. That is survival. You could have negotiated," a delegate argued. "You chose violence." "Admiral Vextar gave us no choice," Commander Daeho said coldly. "He laughed at our warnings. He threatened to take our planet by force. What would your species have done in our position?" Silence greeted his question. Because every species in the chamber knew the answer. "They would have fought too." Historian Qualmix spoke up. "Commander, our records say humans were in self-destructive warfare 10,000 years ago. How did your species survive?" Dr. Sunwoo took this question. "We nearly did not survive. Our ancestors brought Earth to the edge of nuclear destruction. But in the darkest hour they chose peace. They united under a single global government. They took apart most of their nuclear weapons and focused on healing their world. And they decided to stay hidden until they were sure humanity had truly changed. 10,000 years of isolation," Thrin said thoughtfully. "That explains why our probes found nothing." "You were deliberately avoiding detection." "Yes," Youngsuk confirmed. "We watched the galaxy from a distance. We learned your languages, studied your cultures, watched your conflicts, and we decided we were not ready to join galactic civilization. We needed more time to prove to ourselves that we could be trusted with advanced technology and contact with other species. And then we came and forced your hand," Thrin said quietly. I apologize on behalf of those who pushed for that expedition. Apologies mean nothing, the Krillian representative shouted. You humiliated our empire. Our admiral is disgraced. Over 200 ships destroyed. Thousands of soldiers dead. You will pay for this insult. Commander Deho turned to face the Krillian. Your admiral attacked a peaceful civilization. He got exactly what he deserved. If you want revenge, then come. We will be waiting. The chamber erupted in shouts and accusations. Some delegates called for war. Others demanded restraint. The High Chancellor struggled to make everyone quiet. Finally, he succeeded. Enough! This council will not authorize another attack on Earth. The humans acted in self-defense. However, we cannot ignore the threat they pose. A species capable of defeating a Krillian fleet cannot be allowed to exist without oversight. Oversight? Youngsuk's eyes narrowed. We are not children to be supervised. Then what do you propose? The Chancellor challenged. Equal membership in this council, Youngsuk said firmly. Recognize Earth as independent territory. Give us the same rights and responsibilities as any other species. We do not seek conflict, but we will not be conquered or controlled. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some delegates supported human membership. Others opposed it violently. But slowly an agreement began to form. The humans had proven themselves capable of space travel, advanced technology, and military strength. They met all the rules for council membership, but there was fear too. Fear of what humanity might become. Fear of their potential. On Earth, General Sang-ho was not waiting for diplomacy to save them. He had seen the recordings of the council debates. He knew the galaxy was divided about humanity. Some wanted peace. Others wanted war. We have perhaps 6 months before they decide what to do with us, he told his officers. Maybe less. We use that time to prepare. Scientist Ji-Wan stood at his side studying holographic blueprints. The captured Krillian technology is fascinating, General. Their shield systems are more advanced than ours, but their weapons are surprisingly primitive. I believe we can adapt their technology and improve it. Do it, Sang-ho ordered. And I want new ships. Lots of them. If they come back with a real invasion force, we need to be ready. Sir, our shipyards are already working at full capacity. Then build more shipyards. Convert civilian facilities. Do whatever it takes. Because the next time they come, they will not underestimate us. While Earth prepared for war, the diplomatic mission continued its work at the council station. Ambassador Youngsuk met privately with various delegates, building alliances and explaining humanity's position. Dr. Sunwoo shared carefully selected information about human technology and culture. Commander Deho provided security and dealt with the occasional aggressive alien who thought humans would be easy targets. One evening, Ambassador Thrin invited the human delegation to his quarters for an informal discussion. He served them a drink from his homeworld and settled into his seat. You understand that many species fear you, he said directly. Not because of what you have done, but because of what you might do. Because we are violent? Youngsuk asked. Because you are unpredictable. Every species in the council follows certain patterns. Military rules, social structures, decision-making processes. But humans do not seem to follow any pattern. You improvise. You adapt. You take risks that no other species would consider. That makes you dangerous. It also makes us survivors, Deho pointed out. Thrin nodded slowly. Yes, which is why I have been supporting your membership. The galaxy needs species that can think differently. But you must understand, if you join the council, there will be species that will never trust you. There will be conflicts. There will be tests. We are ready, Youngsuk said firmly. Back in Krillian space, Admiral Vextar stood before his emperor in disgrace. His military rank had been taken away. He waited for judgment for his failure. But the emperor did not execute him. Instead, he gave him a new mission. You will gather a fleet, the emperor said. Not 400 ships. 2,000. You will recruit allies from every species that fears human expansion. And you will return to Earth. This time you will not fail. Vextar bowed deeply. It will be done, my emperor. The humans will pay for their resistance. The emperor nodded. See that they do. The honor of the Krillian Empire depends on it. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched high above Admiral Vextar's head. The walls were made of crystal and reflected light from 1,000 distant stars. Representatives from 40 different species sat in their seats watching him. Some looked interested. Others looked bored. Vextar stood at the center platform. His forearms were clasped behind his back in the traditional Krillian military stance. "The Perseus arm remains empty," Vextar said loudly. His voice echoed through the big chamber. "My scouts have checked it. 12 star systems, over 30 planets where life can grow. And not a single civilization lives there. The Krillian Empire asks permission to start building colonies there right away." A soft noise moved through the room. Some delegates nodded yes. Others shifted in their seats and looked uncomfortable. Ambassador Thrin stood up. He was tall and covered in silver scales. He raised one webbed hand. "Admiral, the Perseus arm is marked as restricted space in our oldest records. Our ancestors avoided that region for good reasons." Vextar smiled a little. "With respect, Ambassador, those records are over 5,000 years old. They talk about ghosts and monsters. Surely we have moved past such silly beliefs." "Not silly beliefs," a rough voice said. Historian Qualmix came forward from where the scholars sat. He was very old and used a walking device to support himself. "Legends. There is a difference." The old historian turned on a holographic display above the chamber floor. Images appeared, showing strange symbols and faded text from old databases. "Every species in this council has stories about the Perseus arm. The Vrelians call it the Silent Quarter. The Morgathi name it the Graveyard of Ambitions. And all these stories mention one thing that is the same." "Let me guess," Vextar said. His voice sounded mean. "Humans," a few delegates laughed. Others stayed quiet. Qualmix nodded slowly. "Yes, Admiral, humans. The records say they were a species that walked on 2 legs. They were incredibly violent and nobody could predict what they would do. According to legend, they destroyed themselves in nuclear fire about 10,000 years ago. Their home system, called Sol, became their tomb." Vextar spread his forearms wide. He looked at everyone in the council. "You see? They destroyed themselves. Even if humans were real, which I doubt very much, they are long gone. Dead and forgotten. The Perseus arm is ours to take. Our probes detected nothing when we sent them 300 years ago," General Krex added. He was another Krillian officer. "No signals, no ships, no buildings. Just empty space and simple planets. If humans ever existed, they left nothing behind." Ambassador Thrin stood tall. He was so tall that others had to look up to see him. "Perhaps we should be careful. We could send another survey mission before we commit to full colonization." "Being careful is for the weak," Vextar said sharply. "The Krillian Empire did not become the greatest military power in the galaxy by being careful. We became great by taking what others were too afraid to claim." The council chamber became silent. Vextar knew he had won. Fear and hesitation were weaknesses. The other species respected strength above everything else. He had 400 warships ready to leave. His emperor wanted new territories. The Perseus arm would belong to the Krillian Empire. With or without the council's permission, the High Chancellor finally spoke. He was a floating being made of pure energy. His voice appeared directly in everyone's minds. "The council has heard Admiral Vextar's proposal. We shall vote. All in favor of granting the Krillian Empire permission to colonize the Perseus arm. Signal now." Blue lights began appearing throughout the chamber as delegates voted. Vextar watched with satisfaction as more and more lights came on. When the counting finished, the result was clear. 32 in favor, 8 against. "The motion passes," the High Chancellor announced. "Admiral Vextar, the Perseus arm is yours. May your colonization bring wealth to your empire." Vextar bowed formally. Then he turned and walked from the chamber. His officers followed close behind. Their footsteps echoed on the polished floor. Once they were in the private corridor outside, General Krex spoke quietly. "Some of them actually believe the human myth, sir." "Fools believe in bedtime stories," Vextar replied. "We believe in firepower and territory. Get the fleet ready. We leave in 3 days." The general saluted and hurried away. Vextar continued to his personal rooms. He was already planning the colonization. The Perseus arm had rich mineral deposits and several beautiful worlds perfect for Krillian settlement. His name would be remembered forever as the admiral who made the empire 30% bigger. He dismissed the warnings from Qualmix and Thrin. They were old fools clinging to ancient superstitions. Humans were no more real than the other mythical species mentioned in Galactic Stories. Every civilization had tales about monsters in the dark, about phantom species that existed only to frighten children. 3 days later, Vextar's fleet gathered at the jump coordinates. 400 warships. Each one was covered with weapons and carried thousands of soldiers and colonists. It was the largest force the Krillian Empire had launched in a century. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his communications officer said. "Excellent. Begin jump sequence. Destination is the Sol system, heart of the Perseus arm." The ships turned on their hyperspace drives one by one. They folded space around themselves and vanished into the void. The journey would take 6 days. 6 days until they reached the legendary birthplace of the mythical humans. Vextar sat in his command chair and relaxed. This would be a simple mission. Put stations in orbit around the good planets. Start mining operations on the planets with resources. Begin terraforming where needed. Within a year, Krillian flags would fly over a dozen new colonies. What Vextar did not know was something important. Deep in space, far ahead of his fleet, an ancient satellite drifted in the darkness. Its outside was scarred by tiny space rocks and radiation from the sun. Faded symbols in an unknown language marked its sides. For 300 years, it had been sleeping. Its power was almost gone. But when Vextar's fleet began their jump, the satellite's sensors turned on. Old circuits came back to life. Solar panels opened up, catching light from distant stars. The satellite turned itself toward a small yellow star in the distance. Then it sent a single message on an encrypted frequency. It used technology that no other species in the galaxy had. The message was short. Just 2 words in an Earth language called Korean. They said, "They're coming." The message shot across space faster than light itself. It crossed the void in seconds. It reached the 3rd planet going around that yellow star. There it was received by a network of communication satellites. Deep underground in a command center buried beneath a mountain, warning lights began flashing red. Officers rushed to their stations. Alarms made loud noises throughout the facility. Commander Daeho looked up from his desk. His second-in-command burst through the door. "Sir, the border warning system just turned on. We have incoming ships." "A lot of them." Daeho stood slowly. His face was calm even though his heart was beating fast. He had trained for this moment his entire career. Every officer in the United Earth Defense Fleet had trained for it. They all knew that someday someone would find humanity. "Sound the alert," he said quietly. "Wake up the fleet. And someone tell the president that after 10,000 years of hiding, we've been found." The officer saluted and ran from the room. Daeho walked to the window that looked over the command center. Dozens of people scrambled to their stations. They were turning on Earth's defensive grid. The aliens thought humans were a myth. They would soon learn the truth. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. He watched the main screen as his fleet came out of hyperspace. The jump had gone perfectly. 400 warships appeared together at the edge of a star system that should have been empty and dead, except it was not empty. "Admiral," his sensor officer said. His voice sounded uncertain. "I'm detecting structures. Orbital platforms, satellites, thousands of them." Vextar leaned forward. His forearms gripped the armrests of his command chair. "What kind of structures?" "Unknown design, sir. They're old, but they're working. Power signatures match defensive installations. And sir, there are ships, small ones in various orbits around the 3rd planet." The screen zoomed in. It showed a blue and green world that hung in space like a jewel. Massive orbital rings went around it. Space stations dotted the area around it. And yes, ships. Dozens of them. They were sleek and angular. Nothing like any design in the Krillian database. "This is impossible," General Kreck said from his position beside the Admiral. "The probes reported nothing." "That was 300 years ago," Vextar said slowly. "Perhaps some other species colonized this system after our survey." But even as he spoke, something cold settled in his stomach. The probes had been sent because of the human legends, and now they found an inhabited system in the exact location where humans were supposed to have lived. "Sir, we're being called," the communications officer said. "Audio and visual. They're using Galactic Standard Language." "Put it through," Vextar ordered. The screen changed. It showed the inside of what was clearly a military command center. A being sat in the commander's seat. It walked on 2 legs. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, smooth skin without scales or fur, dark hair and eyes, just like the ancient descriptions. "This is Commander Daeho of the United Earth Defense Fleet," the being said. His voice was calm and professional. "You have entered human territory without permission. Tell us your intentions immediately. The bridge fell completely silent. Every officer stared at the screen in shock. Vextar felt his primary heart skip a beat. Humans. Real. Living humans. This cannot be, he whispered. Commander Deho's face stayed neutral. I promise you, Admiral, we are quite real. Now I will ask again. Tell us your intentions. Vextar recovered quickly. He had not become an admiral by showing weakness. He stood up. All four arms spread wide in a gesture of authority. I am Admiral Vextar of the Krillian Empire. This region of space was deemed uninhabited by the Galactic Council. We have come to build colonies on these worlds. The Galactic Council, Deho repeated slowly. We have no knowledge of such an organization. Regardless, this star system and the space around it belong to humanity. We do not agree to colonization. You do not agree? Vextar laughed. The sound was sharp and cruel. Human, I have 400 warships. How many do you have? Enough, Deho replied. I count 63 ships in this system, General Krex reported. All of them smaller than our cruisers. Vextar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Commander Deho, let me be clear. Your species may have survived your self-destructive nature, but you are primitive and isolated. You face the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. Surrender your world peacefully and your people will be allowed to live as subjects of the Krillian Empire. Refuse and we will take it by force. Deho's face stayed calm, but something appeared in his eyes. Anger, perhaps. Or determination. Admiral Vextar, humanity has not survived for 10,000 years by surrendering to bullies. You have one option. Leave this system immediately and ask for formal diplomatic contact through proper channels. Or what? Vextar challenged. Or we will defend our home. Vextar laughed again, louder this time. Several of his officers joined in. The idea was crazy. 63 small ships against 400 massive warships. It would not be a battle. It would be a massacre. Very well, human. You have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, my fleet will take positions in orbit around your planet. If you try to interfere, we will destroy you. Vextar out. He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. Stay in defensive positions. Scan everything. I want to know what we are dealing with. In the underground command center on Earth, Deho leaned back in his chair as the alien admiral's face disappeared from the screen. Around him, officers waited for orders. Sir, one of them said carefully. They have 400 ships. We have 63 in the system and another 90 scattered across the outer colonies. I can count, Lieutenant. Deho replied calmly. He pressed a button on his console. Get me Dr. Sunwoo. A moment later, another screen turned on. It showed a woman in a white coat. She looked excited despite the situation. Commander, did we really just make first contact with an alien species? We did, Doctor, and they just threatened to invade Earth. Dr. Sunwoo's face fell. Oh, that is not how I imagined this moment. Neither did I, Deho admitted. But we need to prepare for the worst. How quickly can we get the reserve fleet ready? The ships in lunar orbit can be combat ready in 12 hours. The ones at Mars will need 18 hours. Do it. And turn on the defense grid. All platforms. All satellites, everything. Commander, another officer interrupted. Should we contact the civilian government? Already done, Deho said. The president is being told now. But this is a military situation, and I have full authority to defend Earth. He stood and walked to the large tactical display on one wall of the command center. It showed the Sol system with every human ship and installation marked in blue. The alien fleet appeared as red dots at the system's edge. They think we are primitive, he said quietly. They think we are weak because we have fewer ships. They do not know what humans can do when defending their home. Captain Hyo Jin entered the command center. She was still putting on her flight suit. She was young for a squadron commander, barely 30 years old, but she had the best combat record in the fleet. Sir, I heard the alert. Are we really going to fight 400 alien warships? If they do not leave, yes. Good, Hyo Jin said with a fierce smile. My pilots have been training for this their entire lives. We are ready. Deho studied the tactical display. The aliens had more ships, but they were arrogant. They had underestimated humanity. That would be their first mistake. Send a message to all ships, he ordered. Go to battle stations. Prepare for combat operations. And someone wake up General Sangho. He is going to want to organize the ground defenses. As officers rushed to do what he ordered, Deho looked back at the screen showing the alien fleet. They sat there waiting. They were confident in their big advantage, but Vextar did not know human history. He did not know about the countless wars humanity had fought against impossible odds. He did not know about the determination, the stubbornness, the complete refusal to surrender that made humans who they were. The Admiral thought humans were a myth that had somehow survived. He was about to learn that myths become legends for a reason, and legends, Deho thought grimly, are written in blood and fire. 24 hours. The aliens had given Earth 24 hours to surrender. Humanity would use every second of that time to prepare. And when the battle came, the galaxy would finally learn what it meant to threaten Earth. Deho opened a communication line to Captain Hyojin. "Captain, I have a special mission for your squadron." "Sir? When this starts, I need you to show these aliens something they have never seen before. I need you to show them what human pilots can do." Hyojin's smile grew wider. "With pleasure, Commander. With pleasure." The 24 hours passed like a held breath. Admiral Vextar watched the countdown timer reach 0 and smiled. The humans had not answered his demand. Their small fleet stayed in orbit around their planet waiting, foolish creatures thinking they could defy the might of the Krillian Empire. "All ships begin moving forward," Vextar ordered. "Stay in formation. Weapons ready, but do not fire unless fired upon. Let us give them one last chance to surrender." The massive alien fleet began moving toward Earth. It was a wall of metal and weapons heading for the planet. Vextar expected the human ships to scatter, to run, to show some sign of fear. Instead, they held their position. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, "the human ships are powering up weapons, and the orbital platforms are turning on." "How many platforms?" General Krex asked. "Counting now, sir." 100, 200. "Sir, there are over 1,000 platforms. They were hidden, powered down. We did not see them until now." Vextar frowned. That was clever, but it did not matter. Numbers meant nothing when the enemy could not match Krillian firepower. "Continue forward. All ships, shields to maximum." Then a new voice cut through the communication channel. It broadcast to the entire alien fleet. Commander Deho's voice was steady and cold.
"Admiral Vextar, this is your final warning.
"Turn your fleet around and leave this system. You will not be warned again. Fire a warning shot," Vextar commanded. "Show them what Krillian weapons can do." One of his cruisers fired a plasma cannon. A blue bolt of energy shot across space toward an empty section of the asteroid field. The blast turned a small asteroid into vapor in a bright flash. Deho's response came immediately. "So be it. All units weapons free. Defend Earth." What happened next would be studied by military historians for generations. The orbital platforms fired first. But these were not ordinary weapons. Massive railguns launched solid metal rods at incredible speeds. The projectiles crossed the distance in seconds. They slammed into Krillian shields with terrible force. 3 warships in the front line lost shields right away. 2 more took direct hits to their hulls and exploded. "Return fire," Vextar shouted. He was shocked by how fierce the attack was. The Krillian fleet used their plasma cannons and missile batteries. Space lit up with weapons fire, but the human ships moved. They did not stay in formation like proper military ships. They scattered, weaving and dodging with impossible speed. Their smaller size made them hard to hit, and their speed was far beyond anything Vextar had seen. Captain Hyojin led her squadron of 30 fighters in a diving attack run. Her voice came over the human command frequency. "Gold Squadron, follow my lead. Target their engine sections. Short bursts, then break away." Her fighter screamed through the space between 2 Krillian battleships. She fired missiles that punched through their rear shields and exploded in their engine cores. Both ships went dark, drifting helplessly. Her squadron followed. Each pilot did the dangerous maneuver with perfect skill. "Impossible," General Krex whispered, watching the tactical display. "No pilot should be able to fly like that. The forces alone would kill any being we know." "Then kill them," Vextar roared. "All ships, aim at those fighters." But the human pilots seemed to dance through the weapons fire. They flew with a wildness that made no sense. They made split-second decisions that no computer could predict. 3 fighters were destroyed in the chaos, but they took down 8 Krillian cruisers in exchange. On Earth's surface, Private Kyung-mi crouched in the ruins of Seoul's outer district. The city was being evacuated, but Krillian dropships had broken through the orbital defense and landed troops. She was part of a small unit told to slow them down. "They are coming through the main avenue," her sergeant whispered. 200 soldiers. Heavy armor, all of them twice our size. Kyungmi checked her rifle and the explosive charges her team had put throughout the ruins. Then we make every bullet count. The Krillian soldiers marched forward with confidence. They had better weapons, better armor, and more soldiers. They expected humans to be easy prey. The first explosive went off under their lead vehicle, flipping it over. Then Kyungmi's team opened fire from 3 different positions. The aliens had better armor, but human weapons fired armor-piercing rounds designed to go through anything. Krillian soldiers began falling. They are fighting back, one of the alien squad leaders shouted. Take cover! But the humans had prepared the battlefield. Every street was a trap. Every building a firing position. Kyungmi's unit used hit-and-run tactics. They struck hard and then vanished into the ruins before the aliens could respond. In orbit, the battle raged on. Commander Daeho watched from Earth's command center, organizing the defense. The tactical display showed a wild mess of red and blue markers. The aliens had numbers, but humans had preparation, tactics, and desperation. Sir, the enemy is trying to flank us from the lunar side, an officer reported. Turn on the lunar batteries, Daeho ordered, and send word to Lieutenant Bora's group. They are closest. Lieutenant Bora got the message aboard her frigate, the Defiant Spirit. Her ship had taken heavy damage. Shields were down to 15%, hull breaches on 3 decks. Half her crew was dead or injured, but her engines still worked and her weapons still fired. This is Bora to all nearby ships, she sent. I am moving to stop the flanking force. Cover the civilian evacuation shuttles. Lieutenant, your ship will not survive another fight, her tactical officer protested. Bora smiled sadly. I know, but those shuttles are carrying 10,000 people. Children and families. That is more important than one damaged frigate. She changed course. She pushed her dying ship toward the approaching enemy force. 20 Krillian warships were moving to cut off the evacuation route. Bora armed every weapon she had left, including the ones that were damaged and might explode when fired. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's intercom. Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. That is an order. Captain, we are not leaving you, her tactical officer said firmly. I am ordering you to... No, sir. We stay together. Bora felt tears in her eyes, but she nodded. Then let us make this count. Full power to engines. Ram the lead ship. The Defiant Spirit accelerated. Her damaged engines screamed with the effort. Krillian ships fired at her, but she kept coming. At the last moment, Bora triggered every explosive device on her ship, including the reactor core. The frigate struck the Krillian carrier dead center. Both ships vanished in a massive explosion that destroyed 3 other nearby enemy ships. The evacuation shuttles escaped safely. On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, Admiral Vextar stared at the tactical display in shock. He had lost over 80 ships. 80. The humans had lost perhaps 30 ships, and they were still fighting just as hard. How? He demanded. How are they doing this? They fight differently, sir, his tactical officer said quietly. They do not follow standard military rules. Every ship acts on its own. Every pilot makes their own decisions. They are unpredictable. And they do not value their lives, General Krex added. He watched another human ship do a suicide run. They sacrifice themselves without hesitation if it means protecting others. The battle continued for 6 days. 6 days of constant fighting. The human pilots barely slept. They only rested when physically exhausted. Captain Hyojin flew 23 missions. Her fighter was damaged and repaired many times. Private Kyungmi and her unit held their section of Seoul against 10 enemy attacks. They lost half their people but never gave ground. By the end of the 6th day, Admiral Vextar had lost over 230 ships. His fleet was broken, scattered without spirit. The humans had lost 90 ships and countless soldiers, but they had not surrendered. They had not broken. Sir, General Krex said quietly, we must leave. If we continue, we will lose everything. Vextar wanted to refuse. His pride demanded it, but he looked at the tactical display and knew the truth. The humans had won. All ships retreat to the jump point, he ordered. His voice sounded hollow. We leave immediately. As the Krillian fleet began pulling back, Vextar sent one final message. Not to the humans, but to the Galactic Council. This is Admiral Vextar to the Council. The humans are real. The legends were true, and they are more dangerous than we ever imagined. Send everything. Send every ship you have, because if you do not, they will come for you. The message ended and the alien fleet jumped to hyperspace, running away from Earth. In the command center, Deho let himself sink into his chair. Around him, officers were crying, cheering, or simply sitting in stunned silence. "We won," someone whispered. "No," Deho corrected. He thought of Bora and all the others who had given their lives. "We survived. But they will be back, and next time they will bring more." The warning came 6 months after the first battle. Earth's deep space monitoring stations detected massive hyperspace signatures gathering at the edge of the galaxy. Ships. Thousands of them. Admiral Vextar had returned, and he had brought friends. Commander Deho stood in the command center. He had been promoted to Admiral after his success in the first battle. He studied the tactical display showing red markers representing the coming fleet. 2,000 ships. Multiple species. The largest invasion force ever put together against a single world. "They really want us dead," Captain Hyojin observed. She had also been promoted to Admiral and now commanded Earth's expanded fleet. "Can you blame them?" Deho replied. "We embarrassed the Krillian Empire. They cannot let that stand." General Sang-ho entered the command center. His face was grim but determined. "The defensive preparations are complete. Every moon, every asteroid, every piece of rock in this system has been weaponized. Mars is now a fortress. The asteroid belt is a minefield. And our fleet has grown to 300 ships. Still outnumbered nearly 7-1, Deho said. "Then we make those numbers work for us," Sang-ho replied. "The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And Admiral, they are coming here expecting another normal battle. I suggest we give them something completely different." Deho smiled grimly. "I am listening." The alien armada came out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Vengeance Eternal. He was surrounded by holographic displays showing his massive fleet. Beside him stood commanders from 6 different species, all of them united in their desire to put humanity in its place. "Remember," Vextar announced to his fleet, "these humans are clever and dangerous. Do not underestimate them. Stay in formation. Follow battle rules. We have overwhelming force. Use it." The fleet began moving toward Earth. Vexitar expected to see human ships scrambling to meet them. Instead, the space around Earth appeared almost empty. Only a few dozen ships in orbit and the orbital platforms they had used before. "Where are the rest of their ships?" General Krex asked suspiciously. "Hiding, probably," Vextar said. "It does not matter. We will find them and destroy them. All ships, prepare to fight." Then Deho's voice cut through their communications. "Admiral Vextar, we meet again. I see you brought more friends this time." "Commander Deho," Vextar replied. "Or should I say Admiral? I heard of your promotion. It will not save you. Surrender now, and I promise your people will be treated fairly as subjects of the Empire." "That is a generous offer," Deho said calmly. "But I have a different proposal. Leave now, and we will not destroy your fleet." Vextar laughed. "You are outnumbered 7-1. What makes you think you can win?" "Because this is our home," Deho replied simply. "And we have had 6 months to prepare. You should have stayed away, Admiral. Now you are going to learn what humans do when someone threatens their world twice." The transmission ended. Vextar felt a chill run down his spine, but he pushed it aside. Fear was for the weak. He had numbers. He had firepower. He would win. "All ships attack formation. Target the orbital platforms first." The alien fleet pushed forward. That was when the trap closed. The asteroids in the belt, which looked natural on scans, suddenly turned on. Thousands of hidden weapon platforms came online at the same time. Railguns, missile batteries, energy weapons, all firing at once from positions the aliens had already passed. "We are surrounded," one of the Allied commanders shouted. "Impossible!" Vextar roared. The asteroids were dead rock. "They were disguised, sir," his tactical officer reported, "coated with materials that made them appear natural. We flew right into their trap." The trap was brutal and efficient. The alien rear guard, caught completely, by surprise, lost over 200 ships in the first 30 seconds. The fleet tried to break formation, but that only made things worse. Ships crashed into each other in the chaos. Some tried to retreat and ran straight into more hidden weapons. Then Admiral Hyo-jin struck with Earth's fleet, but she did not attack from where the aliens expected. Her 300 ships had been hiding behind Mars, using the planet's mass to hide their presence. They came screaming around Mars at full speed, hitting the alien left flank like a hammer. Her tactics had evolved since the first battle. Every captain in her fleet had studied human military history, ancient battles, modern warfare. They knew every trick, every strategy, every desperate move that had ever worked for an outnumbered force. "Gold Squadron, with me," Hyo-jin called out. She led her fighters in a diving attack that separated 3 alien battleships from their escort craft. "Silver Squadron, hit their command ship. Bronze Squadron, cover the civilian evacuation routes." Private Jae-won sat in the cockpit of his bomber, watching the battle unfold on his displays. He was young, barely 20 years old, but he flew with the confidence of a veteran. His mission was simple but suicidal. Get close enough to the enemy flagship to plant a plasma bomb inside its shields. "Jae-won, you do not have to do this," his squadron leader said over the radio. "We can find another way." "No time," Jae-won replied, checking his weapon systems. "That flagship is coordinating their entire fleet. Take it out and they lose organization. This is the fastest way." He did not wait for permission. His bomber accelerated, weaving through the massive space battle. Enemy fire lit up space around him. His shields held, then failed. Hull plating melted. Systems started failing. But he kept going. "Almost there," he whispered to himself. "Just a little closer." Admiral Vextar saw the bomber coming. "Point defense. Destroy that ship." Every weapon on the Vengeance Eternal turned toward the small bomber. But Jae-won was too close now. He was flying in the gap between the flagship's shields and hull where larger weapons could not target him. He armed the plasma bomb, set it to explode in 10 seconds, and released it directly onto the flagship's bridge section. Then his bomber was hit. Multiple impacts. The craft exploded, taking Jae-won with it, but the plasma bomb went off exactly where he had placed it. The flagship's entire forward section vanished in a ball of superheated plasma. The blast traveled through the ship, destroying command systems and killing everyone on the bridge, including Admiral Vextar. The alien fleet faltered. Without their flagship and commander, organization collapsed. Individual ships began making their own decisions. Some tried to continue the attack, others tried to retreat. The formation fell apart completely. "Now," General Sang-ho shouted from the ground command center on Mars. "Turn on the lunar batteries, fire everything." Hidden weapons on Earth's moon, installations that had been built over 6 months of frantic work, opened fire. Massive energy cannons, the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built, reached across space and began destroying alien capital ships one by one. The battle became a massacre. Not because humans had better weapons or more ships, but because they had prepared better. Every angle had been considered, every weakness used, every advantage maximized. Ambassador Young-suk watched the battle from the Galactic Council station. The entire galaxy was watching now. Live feeds broadcast across every civilized world. They saw human tactics, human determination, human sacrifice. "They are going to win," Ambassador Thrin said quietly, standing beside her. "Against impossible odds, they are actually going to win. Humans are very good at impossible things," Young-suk replied. In space, the alien fleet was breaking. Ships jumped to hyperspace in 1s and 2s, running from the system in panic. Those that remained fought bravely but uselessly. "Admiral." Hyo-jin's fleet hunted them down carefully, offering chances to surrender that most accepted. 3 hours after the battle began, it was over. Of the 2,000 alien ships, over 1,400 had been destroyed or captured. The rest fled. Earth had lost 83 ships and countless brave soldiers and pilots, but they had won. Commander Daeho, his face exhausted but relieved, sent a message to the fleeing alien ships. "Tell the galaxy what happened here. Tell them that humanity does not seek war. But if war comes to us, we will win. Every single time." The message reached the Galactic Council within minutes. The High Chancellor called an emergency vote. The debate lasted less than an hour. The humans have proven themselves beyond any doubt. the Chancellor announced. They have defeated 2 invasion fleets. They have shown tactical brilliance, technological capability, and the will to defend their independence. I call for a vote. All in favor of giving humanity full membership in the Galactic Council, signal now. Blue lights appeared throughout the chamber. This time, the vote was not even close. 38 in favor, 2 against. Motion passes, the Chancellor declared. Ambassador Youngsuk, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally recognize humanity as an independent species and invite Earth to join us as an equal member. Youngsuk bowed respectfully. On behalf of humanity, we accept. But let me make one thing perfectly clear to everyone here. We come in peace. We seek cooperation, trade, and mutual understanding. But if anyone threatens Earth again, they will learn the same lesson Admiral Vextar learned. Humans protect their own. Always. 3 months later, President Insu stood before the assembled Galactic Council. He was the first human to address them as an equal member. His speech was broadcast across the galaxy, translated into 1,000 languages.